Hello, everybody. I don't know if you guys were hearing me. Someone told me there was a mic issue. I apologize if no one's heard me. We'll start over. This is an. I'm going to double check while I'm talking. This is an Conn Productions, and this is going to be us talking about advocating comic books and projects today. This is brought to you by the Indie Advocates Network. We've been on for 15 days straight. We're going to continue to be on talking about some great stuff. We're here to entertain you. We know everyone's going through something right now, and we want to be here to entertain you. I'm going to double check while team days. Okay, so we are definitely live talking this time. I apologize for that issue. And we're going to be talking today about advocating. We couldn't do any advocating without the Global Digital Comic Con, known as Indie Advocates, which is an indie advocate cheerleader. But we also have underground advocates too, which we'll get to a little later, which is a spin-off side of this. And indie comics, of course, don't get the same coverage everything else does. So we try to help that out. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of shows pop up, so we've been giving that to you. We have Chuck's Raw Reviews. And if you see on the side over here, we're going to be talking about some of these things and featuring them. We're going to be talking about the Comic Initiative. Because remember, none of this stops because we're here. We actually have an indie comic previews catalog, believe it or not, on the site. We're going to be talking about You Create Comics. We're going to be talking about the R4AU autism awareness, comics in kids' hands, and we're going to have the one, the only Brian K. Morris on soon. If you guys want to jump on, we have the StreamYard in our comments on our YouTube channel, which is the Advocating channel. And IndieAdvocates.com is here to help promote and feature all of your content if you're a creator, to bring it to the masses. I'm happy to announce that we have had 41,000 subscribers subscribe to IndieAdvocates.com. Thank you to the 41,000 people who allowed us to entertain you and show you about indie comic greatness. All right, I am so super excited to have a great show ahead of us today. I want to talk about comics in kids' hands to begin the show. Now, comics in kids' hands, and you're going to see right now, and I'm going to read this, so bear with me. Comics in kids' hands. In 2019, I talked about and began creating comics in kids' hands to go along with the Comic Initiative. The purpose of comics in kids' hands was to express the importance of comics and their ability their ability they have to inspire and educate children. And right now during this time, just think about that. You guys be giving your kids comics and giving them something to read while they're stuck inside. But you don't want your kids on tablets all the time. So this is a perfect time to be talking about this. As a creator who was inspired by comics that helped me overcome illiteracy due to dyslexia, I have become now a proud advocate for comics and their hidden power as an educational tool. As much as I enjoyed my time helping Comics in the Classroom, which you guys can find on Facebook, I felt this was a better way forward, and I have moved on to Comics in Kids' Hands. Comics in the Classroom was limited to the classroom. I wanted to start something that was bigger than that, and this is where we are. We, of course, welcome anyone doing panels in Comics in the Classroom to join with us and be part of our panels and be part of this entire movement as we move forward beyond the classroom. Our hope is to inspire parents to advocate for comics and understand their power as a literacy publication and no longer be seen as a dumbed-down resource of storytelling, to put it nicely. We want comic books to be seen in the proper light, and as they are a vehicle for storytelling with the power to unlock imagination and even at times educate and reach children who may not learn the standard way. While this movement is in its infancy, and this current predicament with what's going on has not helped us promote it, we're dedicated to it, and it's always going to be a 5-year plan. We have a very optimistic outlook on how this will affect and help grow a culture that looks down on comics. Still, instead uses them to inspire children and open their awareness about the power of creation. This is part of the Comic Initiative and a part of the Indie Advocates Network. And the Indie Advocates Network, of course, is a way for you guys to just promote yourselves. We have if you don't know, we have on our site right now we have the Indie Advocate site, of course, but we also have a satellite group on Facebook itself, which you guys can constantly give us some information on. And you could bring it over here. And you look, there's a virtual book fair. We're just finding that out. We're able to cover it today. And that's going to be at your house. That's not a hard drive. There you go. That'll be pretty easy. And this is brought to you by the Shelley's Editing Service is hosting a virtual book fair. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty interesting, and you guys are going to be able to check that out. Congratulations to Steve Butler, which, by the way, we help promote Kickstarters, if you didn't know, and Indiegogos. So this is a look into our actual site. Now, today we're going to be covering some great creators, as I said, and you're going to see this is, whoops, that's me right there. I am Robert Gregory, or the underground indie devil who advocates for comics and comics, and the two different ones. I appreciate you guys joining me today on this, and we're going to be inviting in some cool people and having conversations with the things that they advocate for. And hopefully we'll have a good day today talking about all the cool advocating opportunities there have been and there are. And I'm opening up the chat right now as we're talking so you guys can see it. And of course, this is brought to you by, and I'll bring us up right here in the standard way. This is brought to us by the Conn Network. You can find the Conn Network by going to Conn right there. And it's a plural for the many different ones. And it's right here, and you guys can see this is a list of all of our things. And we even have a shortcut list, which I'm going to wind up putting up there again. But you can see all the amazing things that have been going on and are going on. So I'm pretty impressed by everything that we've been able to bring you so far. And there's some great creators giving us some great stuff. And you guys can see it's all about entertaining you during this time, but also allowing people to connect. We've seen some people learn who they are. They're now going to be working with each other. So I am very interested in everything. Yeah. So that is my little boy, Jaxie. So, and because a lot of us are stuck at home, it is what it is right now. But one of the things I did want to show you guys before we move on too much, while I have a minute, was You Create Comics. And this is a perfect time to kind of show you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Kickstarter, and I'm going to let Victor Dandridge explain it to you, because he ran a Kickstarter for this, and I think it's pure gold. So we're going to go over to our Kickstarter profile, and we're going to do You Create. I see it popped up. I screwed up. I think it's You Create. There it is. So U-CRE. And make sure that you're doing this, guys, that you've got it, and then, put the smile on it. And oops, we're going to go to the campaign, and then sounds like someone just entered the room, so we're going to be introducing someone in just a minute. But for right now, this is You Create Comics.
Okay, and my keys and hey, hi, I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics. You literally just caught me on my way out to start talking about my You Create Comics line. Actually, since you're here, can I start with you? You Create Comics is my in-class programming that I do to kind of instill education with some cool with comic books. It's kind of important to me, actually. As a kid, I didn't like to read until I got into comics, and it kind of changed everything, put me on a cool path, and has made me as successful as I am today. So I kind of want to give back a bit, I'm really kind of starting with my hometown and trying to make sure that, kids in Columbus, Ohio have an opportunity, much like I did, to explore comics and see how that impacts their education and their potential future and earnings out here in the world. So, I could really use your help with that. I'm trying to raise at least $250 to be able to bring my programming to one school in Central Ohio, with a high-end goal of $2,500 to maybe reach 10 schools with a potential of 2,000 students. Now, obviously, yes, you might not be from Columbus, so maybe that might not be your bag, but it really would mean the world to me if you could at least share, talk about, or influence in some way, shape, or form this project to imminent success. We want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to succeed and excel, and comic books is all about that. The superheroics are all about inspiration and leading us to our higher selves. So with your help, I think we can actually do it. If you get a second, please donate, pledge. These are some of the prizes that you'll have. These are actually from the You Create Comics line that can help you make your own very own comic material, right? I mean, like literally yours. You create it. That's kind of the name. It's tough, right? I know. But if not, feel free, share with somebody that knows that their kids love comics or is into the comic book medium, and maybe they will be able to support. Either way, with your help, I know we can empower learning to imminent success for some Central Ohio students. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
And I'm going to drop that link right in here for you guys, and we're going to welcome on our new, well, not new, but our first guest of the evening or day. I'm a little off today, because you can tell the quarantine's got me. I don't know what time of day it is anymore. What's going on? Tell us who you are and what you're here for today.
Hey, I'm Christian Coffins, also in quarantine, and I'm fine so far, but, you know, we're just trying to be safe and everything. Have a little bit of cabin fever, so this is fun. Thanks for having me on. I wanted to talk about our Tales of Terror comic series from Coffins Comics. And where's that? There it is. Nope, yep. And what we're doing with this since 2017 is we have a compilation album of local artists that have songs that are horror related, some kind of scary story. And we have illustrators that are either in the bands or work with the bands or got hired by the bands to do the art to have a kind of immersive experience where you can listen to the songs and have it be a soundtrack to the comic book you're reading. Sacred Owls, my band on the project, is a political nonfiction horror band, and what that means is that we write scary songs about real things that are historically accurate, and we back up all of these stories with resources at darkdocs.com and sacredowls.com. So for this particular series, we have been focusing on the Franklin cover-up, which is a scandal that happened back in the 80s and 90s in Omaha, Nebraska, that spread out to DC, Hollywood, and it involved human trafficking of children. And it's a very, serious topic. There's real victims. And the sad thing is because of the whole spin of the Pizzagate thing that happened in the mainstream media, because they're controlled by the Council on Foreign Relations, and people involved in this human trafficking is that it has been spun into be a quote-unquote conspiracy theory, which of course is a CIA term to shut people up that are questioning the government. So issue number 1 of Tales of Terror, we are talking about the Paul Benassi case, and I don't want to get into all the gritty details. You can read the comic, but the things that this young man went through are despicable, and no one believed him. FBI put a gag order on him, and that was that. And people that were involved in the Franklin cover-up are tending to drop like flies, including Ted Gunderson, the former FBI agent that was asking for an autopsy for Troy Boner, which was the topic of issue number 2. So our goal here with darkdocs with an X.com, Sacred Owls, and Coffins Collective is, of course, to show, showcase original artists and music, but also to bring awareness to things that are being discredited on the mainstream when these people have suffered. And now on top of what they went through, you have people on the internet saying that they're lying about these things and that they never went through them and it's all fake news. I encourage you all to check us out, coffinscollective.com, coffinscomics.com to learn more. And I'm not sure the format of this. That was my pitch. Do you guys, do we do like a Q&A or what's going on?
Well, we're here to advocate for it. So that was a great pitch. Did you say you wanted to play some music?
Yeah. What's the best way to go about that? Like a screen share, or can I upload?
Screen share. I'll your screen share, and you'll have control, and you'll be able to play what you need to play for us.
Okay.
So at the bottom, you should see the screen share, right?
Yeah. Okay. So share audio, good.
And
it would be my entire screen, I guess. Yeah. Right. Huh? I'll just full screen it. So yeah, this is a we got a new bass player on, so I thought it'd be fun to do a kind of Guitar Hero style bass tutorial for some of our new stuff. So this music video is off of our second Tales of Terror, and it's called Beware, Take Care. Owls.com. And as we discussed earlier, Sacred Owls likes to keep all of our content in the Creative Commons, so that way people could share it for academic uses. And so if you like what we're doing, you want to use clips of our video or audio, we won't come after you. You don't have to ask permission. Just go ahead and go to our websites and download our content, and we'll be very happy that you did that. Just let us know, and if you can give us a shout out, that'd be fantastic. So in our videos section here we go. I'm using my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone because I guess everyone's on Netflix because of the quarantine. So I apologize if it's a little laggy.
Everything's laggy these days, to be honest with you.
Here we go.
Like 2,000 short border, walking to the hospital in New Mexico, screaming, "We're after me because of this book." A Franklin cover-up, he went leading to his grave. He was given drugs with the doctors to calm him down. Who knows what they gave him? No time for hospital gown. It's slumping down and it's going in the ground. Beware, take care. When exposing the dark, you might just spend them on. Beware, take care. When exposing corruption, it might lead to your destruction. When the nurses came to check on him the next morning, Laura was sitting in a chair, bleeding from mouth and quite dead. Former FBI Ted Gunderson demanded autopsy and information. Living died suspiciously with more questions and answers. Beware, take care. When exposing the dark, you might just spend them on. Beware, take care. When exposing corruption, it might lead to your beware, take care. When exposing the dark, you might just spend them on. Beware, take care. When exposing corruption, it might lead to your destruction. Beware. Beware.
So that was the first track off of issue number 2 of Tales of Terror that we released last Halloween. It's been 2 years since issue number 1, and Sacred Owls for that issue did 5 songs. We also did a Johnny Cash cover of When the Man Comes Around that I did a 4-page comic for on that one, and this has definitely been a very fun project. Actually, I'm going to pull out, let's see. We have a little advertisement for Tales of Terror 1 that and 2 that we put together. So I'll play that so you can hear some of the other acts, not just Sacred Owls, on this collection. You can see some of their artwork as well in this clip. There we go. This is from issue number 1.
You want me to come down and help you? That's you. Please, answer me.
I was just a kid, so I never said how much I loved you. Mannequin head.
There's something in the shadows and it gives me quite a fright. Keeps me up with cold sweats in the middle of the night. Dismay, distress, and discomfort are but the hallmarks of this plight.
All right. Let's see if I can switch back to camera mic or stop screen. All right, yeah. So there you go. That's a little taste of issue number 1. We have a little trailer for issue number 2 as well, but I figured we could also do some talking.
I thought it was cool, dude. I dug it. Kind of headbanging back here and in my own little world, listening to it. So, how do you come up with such an idea? Was this a group effort? Like, I know you touched on it, but like, who first came up with the idea for this? Because it's kind of cool. I've never seen it done before.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been making little comic books and things since I was a really little kid, and just folding copy paper in half, and I just always was really obsessed with comic books, and I never really got around to being a comic book creator. You know, I just really was more of an appreciator, and I would draw and do. I kind of went more into the graphic design world, and then architecture and music. But I guess 2 years ago, I came up with this idea to have this kind of listen while you read kind of thing. You know, since we were already doing the music and we're doing so much illustration and artwork for the band, we found Kablam Comics here in Orlando that we didn't have to print 1,000 copies of something that just, it wouldn't be worth it. We knew it'd take us forever to sell it and would be in debt forever with the project. So when we found out that we could pretty much print them small batch a la carte, it made it feasible. So thanks Kablam, we have their ad on the back of our comic, and they run great deals. If you get their t-shirt and wear it at shows, they give you a discount, and they're just a really kind of cool DIY company, much like Coffin's Print Shop and things like that. So we got along great. The Propel actually informed us of them because they have their own comic book that they release with their music as well. It's kind of a different thing that they're doing. It's not really listen while you read as much as a comic book that just comes with the album. I think they've done 2 out of 3 that they're working on, and they're also on the project. And so when we got together with all of them, I pitched this idea to all these other bands that I wanted to do this kind of Tales from the Crypt kind of compilation of different stories. And honestly, it was a win-win because they're such great artists and musicians, and they bring so much to the table, so much flavor, that Sacred Owls is a very serious project, and it's kind of too dense for some listeners to just immerse themselves just in that. At least right off the bat, it kind of hits you too hard. So it was nice to lighten up with some more kind of funny or just gory and silly horror kind of stuff mixed in with our more serious, kind of buzzkill kind of content. So you really do get a good mixed bag of emotions with every issue. Something to kind of light it up, something that you might actually learn something. It's kind of serious, and it's worked out really well. We did a Trails of Terror tour with Dougie Flesh and Will Brack 2 years ago to New Orleans and back to promote the first issue. And then we drove all the way to the Bohemian Grove in Monte Rio, California, the past 2 Julys on big national tours to promote. And when we got back this past year in 2009, we jumped straight into the studio and started working on issue number 2. We had a lot of new ideas, and it was a crazy time. There's so much going on, but we were able to bang it out. We had a release party at Will's Pub with Wes Morrison and the Stray Hairs, Will Brack. We did our release party in Tampa with Gyrojets and Propel because that's their neck of the woods, and it was great. We just love the ability. We have a projector that we bring to live shows, so you can experience the music videos while we're playing live, and you can kind of see the artwork from the comic books on the screen. And it's nice that it's kind of this multimedia thing that every time you perform it live, it's bringing it into a new medium and using all of the aspects and stuff. And then we can take that video of the live show and make new music videos with clips from both. And so it's this kind of fun feedback loop that we're doing with a lot of these songs and stuff here at Sacred Owls. And it's gotten it's a slow start, of course, like anything. it's an unusual concept, but we definitely got a lot of great feedback. And I've met other people that are doing similar things with music, comic books, and stuff. So I really hope to kind of become part of a community that is doing this on the regular. And because it's when we first made it, we got the first prints and threw the CD in and opened up the comic book and experienced it for ourselves. And it really was everything we hoped for. It's this really neat feeling that it's something different than watching a video, making a film. It's kind of, it bridges the gap between reading a book, reading a comic book, listening to an audio book, and listening to music. It's something else, so that's something we want to kind of continue to work towards. And we'd love any feedback from anybody on what they think we're doing right or wrong and stuff to move forward, because we're definitely working on issue number 3 that should be out this Halloween, and hopefully we'll keep it annual instead of biannual. And yeah, it's fun. We have a blast doing it. Did I lose you? Uh-oh. We might have lost him. Well, in the meantime, I'll do a screen share, and we'll play some live performances from issue number 1. Screen share. Do that guy. Share. Oh, I want to share audio. Yeah, there we go. I'm getting a pro at this. All right, so this is some of Tales of Terror Live from Sacred Owls and Woolbrack.
All right, there we go.
Ah, you're back. Good.
Yeah, I was here the whole time. For some reason, we had 2 people joining us at the same time, and it kind of threw the background. No one's fault. It just happens sometimes in StreamYard. So go ahead, keep doing what you're showing, and I'm going to get rid of the pop-up we have here, and we're going to go to your stream instead. There we go. Now it's working right. And Jack Wilder's joining us, and Mary's joining us. What's going on, guys? We're going to be with you in 1 minute. We're just going to look at this video, and then we're going to talk about all your projects.
Sounds great.
Right.
Sounds great.
So this is the last clip I'll be playing. It's Conspiracy of Silence, also off of Tales of Terror, issue number 1 from Coffin's Comics, with the live show here in Florida. Might have to jump down to lower quality here. Let's try that. I'll jump into the actual file because this thing is not working.
It's the internet right now.
Yeah, it's so bad that we have pretty fast internet in this community that we're living at. And I guess just everyone's, on Netflix and stuff because there's nothing else to do. And I'm using my Wi-Fi hotspot on my 4G Metro PCS phone, and it's 10 times faster, which is that blows my mind. Let's see. So if we go to
and Sarah says, "This is awesome. I love that concept 100%. It's everything combined and interwound. I love that. Wow, that's so cool. So you got a fan already just watching the show today."
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. This is a really cool thing that you're doing. This is
we got to rise. Yeah, we got to rise together. We got to stay together, and it's all about showing the power of creativity in indie comics. You guys are going to see just how vast indie comics is, and underground creators that are going to be on the show today, and it's definitely a great mix of different creators. But I'm going to shut up so we can watch this video.
Welcome to the Tales of
It's a web of intrigue that starts in our Holy of Holies, Boys Town, Nebraska, one of the most respected institutions in the United States, and spreads out like a spider web to Washington, D.C., right up to the steps of the nation's capital, the steps of the White House, involves some most respected and powerful and richest businessmen in this United States of America. And the centerpiece of the entire web is the use of children for sex and drug dealing and drug courier, the compromising of politicians, the compromising of businessmen, but worst of all, the corruption of key institutions of government that have the duty and responsibility to make sure these things never happen.
Hey, Coffins, are you still with us? Coffins?
Hey, how's it going?
I was going to say, we lost the audio on my end. I think it's something on the thing. I can't hear it, which is okay. We got to see enough of it, I think. I think people don't.
It's a little taste. Again, it's all at sacredelves.com and Coffins Comics with an X.com. We got plenty of videos and downloads and PDFs and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, again, thanks for having us on. I'm done to stick around and listen in to who else you have on the show.
Sounds good. Let's bring in Jack Holter, because Jack Holter was next. But I also want to introduce Mr. Molinari. He's here with us with the shepherd stick right there behind him. It wouldn't be a con without it, and this is an online con, so let's do it. We're going to go with Jack Holter, then Mary, then Andrea. They're all going to tell us about some amazing stuff that they're working on. All right, Jack, you're up. Tell us about Why Faith.
All right, so Why Faith is a comics anthology here with 30 different tales asking that very question of what faith means to you, positively, negatively, otherwise. Now, you're coming in here, you're trying to figure out just what is this book about? Is it a just straight up Christian conversion book? And the answer is no. In here, you'll see great tales from not just Christians, Jews, Muslims, Taoists, atheists, agnostics, Dungeons and Dragons enthusiasts, talking about how to actually believe in science and sometimes accept that other people might know what facts are in a way for you. Why faith is a way to actually start a conversation and raise awareness of what other people might be believing. So that's what's been going on with Why Faith. We raised over $5,000 on Indiegogo last year. We just started getting this book out to people. Of course, with the convention scene being a little down, we haven't been able to get it out as much. But we also have a link on Gumroad to get the physical copy, and you can also get the digital copy through Amazon Kindle.
All right, and congratulations on the successful campaign. We're gonna do some comments now, real quick, because I want to acknowledge our audience that's watching us. Sarah says that this is awesome. I love the concept 100%. Oh, actually, that's her old comment. Hold on, we have a new comment from her. Give me 1 second. For some reason, it didn't take. I'll read it just to save time. Sarah said to us, let's see. I've got so many different places to look right now. It's ridiculous. She said she loves the music, and she says nice music and eye candy. So there you go. And we have, let's see, we have one more comment to get through. And she says, this is awesome. So thank you, Sarah, for being part of it. And we do have something for the website for you guys. I'm going to put it in right now for you guys to check out. This is Coffin's Comics, and I'm going to put it in our banner right now so you guys can see it. And there we go. Coffin's Comics. Now, where can they get Why Faith while we're putting up this for Sacred Isles too?
So I'm going to add this to the private chat right now. That's Gumroad, which is another online commerce site where you can actually buy the physical copies. And we'll be sending them to you. It's $25 plus shipping, and we're going to try and get them as soon as possible. With United Postal Service being a little problematic right now, like Amazon's taking over a month now to ship products. So. But it's understandable, and you can also buy it online on Amazon for Kindle, so you can get it pretty much immediately. And we have some amazing creators, both in the indie scene and the professional scene, the published traditionally route of Russell Nolte, Jody Lynn Nye, William Paul Young, who actually wrote The Shack, did his very first comic with us for this. So some fantastic creators that's truly honored to work with.
That sounds amazing. And speaking of amazing, we have Mary here. We're gonna talk to Mary for a minute. What's going on, Mary? What are you here to promote? What does it advocate for?
Feeling like a light. I've had such a day getting onto your site.
I think everyone's having it. We've been having technical difficulties too.
I've also been getting some feedback chatter, so if you can't hear me, I understand.
I can hear you. I just think that you're hearing other creators. Can everyone mute while she talks? So maybe we can get rid of some of that feedback. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Can you hear now? Is that better?
Yes, much better. Much, much better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Talk to us. What do you got?
Oh, okay. So, hi, I'm Mary, and I write a sort of underground comic book in that it's LGBTQ, but written from the aspect of a mom who's dealt with people, coming out in their lives. So that's where I came from originally, and so I decided, after reading a lot of comics that are called yaoi, that they were not telling a true story or giving an aspect of life as a gay man with a family that accepts and loves them. So that's what I decided to write about. And so the books that I do are called Romeo X Julian. Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can get that in there. Left is left and right is right. And it's the story about a young man who he's searching for himself. Who is he really? And it turns out that his cousin, who is gay, takes him to a Renaissance festival where he meets this beautiful person. Turns out to be somebody who likes to crossplay. That's a gentleman who's dressed as a woman. And the story proceeds from there. I enjoyed writing it because I know a lot of people in the cosplay and crossplay community. I have nieces and nephews who have come out. I have a sister who's a lesbian. And I've often wondered why there weren't any stories that made things happy in the end, or at least reality based in the end, instead of it's all, everybody's gay in the entire community. So it's really a family story. But the reason it becomes underground is because I didn't want it to be just a young adult's teenager story. So there is some sexuality occurring in the story. It has been a little more be accepted at Comic-Cons because of this. So therefore, I call it underground.
Well, I create something underground, so you're in good company. And I think Jack had to run out on us, but I do want to just throw up his thing. Where can they get your book currently?
My book is currently available in first edition on Amazon.com. I am currently finishing recoloring specific edits that have been recommended by the community at large, but mostly people who are transgendered, to allow for some aspects that I hadn't even thought of addressing properly. So just a few little bits and pieces there have been changed in just the dialogue. Also, because I was figuring I was doing a second edition anyway, it's going from being black and white like a manga to being full color like a comic book. And those should all be available within the next week at Amazon.com. But currently, you can get the black and white first editions. Amazon.com, Romeo X Julian.
Well, that is so cool. And try to hit me up with the link for Amazon, and we'll put it out right now. And in that, you can send it to me on Messenger. If you have to back out for a minute, back out, and then come back in, and I'll make sure to share it with everybody.
That's great. Thank you.
And we're going to move on to my friend Andrea. Andrea, what is going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm locked in, man. the walls are closing in. Help! No, I'm a creator. We're used to being inside. Honestly, the only thing that's different is I'm not seeing you guys on the weekend.
Yeah, that's true. It's been kind of strange not doing the traveling, but in a way, I got to say I'm appreciating the rest too. To be honest.
Yeah, we are. You're definitely a road warrior. I've seen you hit further than even me. And
yeah, 26 last year. 26, which by the way is way too many. Way too many. Yeah.
But let's talk about why you're here. And I'm pretty excited because I actually got your stuff ready to show off.
There you go.
Look at that. Path of Souls. So this is very important. This advocates for something I don't think we talk enough about. Could you fill in the blanks for me?
Yeah. Well, my wife works for the VA, and her specialty is counseling for post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, and traumatic brain injury. And in case you're wondering about the traumatic brain injury, how that comes into it, a lot of people don't realize that our sailors and our soldiers and Marines, when they're around these big guns, the artillery, the tanks, the IED explosions, just the list of loud explosive noises, it causes brain damage. It's like concussive force is basically what we're talking about. And so it does require treatment. It has a major impact on lots of aspects of people's lives, and it can't just be ignored. It has to be treated. The good news is with traumatic brain injury is there's a lot of healing that can take place and a lot of restoration that can take place with it. So there is a positive message to be spread with regard to that. But you have to recognize, diagnose what the problem is first before you can treat it. So those are the areas that my wife works in. And so I'm hearing about that all the time. And, my wife is sharing stories of, she doesn't tell me the names because, you don't do that, but tells me the general idea. And she told me this one gentleman who was a veteran from Vietnam. And when he came to her for therapy, he had not had a night without nightmares since Vietnam. Now you got to do the math on that. So you figure we left in 75. That's what, 40 some years that has gone by. And that's assuming he was at the end, which I don't even know when his tour was, but 40 plus years of nightmares. And after getting treatment with her, he came back, I guess it was like a week later or something, and said to her, so that's what it's like to sleep, to have a good night's sleep. So you hear these stories and you realize that, there's a growing number of people that have done tours of duty, and if you think about just in the last, since 1990, all the different places where we've had deployments, that's a huge number of people that have been in combat or in combat related situations. And there's just a growing number of people that need treatment. So anyway, with that as a background, I started thinking about that. And my wife works at the hospital, and I started thinking, well, my stories of the shepherd take place in the afterlife. So I started thinking, well, what if there was a hospital in the afterlife that treated soldiers and veterans who had suffered post-traumatic stress but never had a chance to deal with it. And so that's kind of what this whole story, The Path of Souls, The Path of Dogs, it basically envisions this hospital that is staffed by supernatural beings that help these different soldiers. And so we encounter soldiers from different time periods and different cultures in the context of the story. We have four different warriors that we meet. We meet a Wendat Huron, the white men called the Huron, Indian who died fighting the Iroquois in 1648. We meet a Napoleonic soldier who died in Jaffa, 1799. A Civil War soldier who died at Fredericksburg, 1862. And lastly, a U.S. Marine who died in Fallujah, 2004. And we tell each of their stories. So.
Now, one of the exciting things is that the story is also going to be having a bit of a twist to it coming this year. Isn't that true?
Yeah, that is true. We are, that we tell ongoing stories with the Shepherd. And so we actually have a new series that's going to be launched as a spinoff of the Shepherd called The Shepherd Junior. And we're really excited about that. That really focuses in on the children left behind by the Shepherd, because the Shepherd has his mission in the afterlife, but he has family that have survived that are still here. And if you have a moment, I'll go ahead and show you the new logo real quick here.
Yeah, go for it. Do you see the screen share at the bottom? There it is. Yeah.
That's the new logo for the Shepherd Junior, and this focuses in on his children. And so the main characters are Lexi, his daughter, who's like 11 years old, and his son Nico, who's between 5 and 6 years old.
Oh man, I'm excited for this because we've been talking about this for a while. And I remember one of the first interviews me and you did. I said, "Well, what about the kids?" And you said, "Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there." Now we're finally getting there.
Yeah. And of course, I would say if I were to compare this story, I would compare it to The Sixth Sense, because the children have paranormal abilities. We saw a glimpse of their ability in the first volume of The Shepherd. And then, we move on with the main character, the Shepherd, and into the afterlife. But this kind of picks up where we left off with the kids.
Oh man, I'm excited. Any ET? I know. When I'm asking this, the world is weird. I get
Yeah.
it. So I asked this, knowing the world's weird, but is there an ETA currently on when we might be getting that in our?
I want to put it. My whole plan has always been to put it out this year. Here's what needs to be done. All the artwork is completed. We have 3 individual issues that have to have covers, and we've got one of them complete. So we have 2 of the individual issues, and then I'm waiting for the trade paperback is going to have its own cover. And I don't know if I told you this or not, Rob, but David Mack is doing that cover.
I don't think you did tell me that. That's exciting news.
Yeah. In fact, it was weird because 2 nights ago, I'm sitting on the couch watching Ant-Man, rewatching Ant-Man, and I'm texting back and forth with David Mack. That was kind of a surreal experience.
It is weird when we start talking to the people that we look up to and we're just suddenly taken by it and being like, is this really happening? Am I just talking to someone this casually?
And the one thing that's really, I got to say about David Mack is that it's wonderful when you meet heroes and they turn out to be even nicer than you imagine them to be. It's just been a really kind individual. I actually met him the first time at a Wizard World in New Orleans. This was a couple of years ago. And I normally am not the kind of guy who looks for interview or for autographs from people. I'm not the kind of guy that follows, looking kind of the fanboy type. I'm just not that guy. Like I could walk by all these celebrities all day long. But I found out that David Mack had his table 2 tables down from me. And of course, David got his start at Caliber Comics, just like I have. And so I was really nervous about talking to him. My daughter, you've met my daughter, Lexi, she has no fear in her at all. So she just literally just walked down there and starts up a conversation. Before the end of the weekend, she's best friends with him. She's bringing him beignets and coffee and chatting him up. And we ended up talking about the possibility of having him do a cover for us at some point. And that kind of set the stage for that. Eventually, we met him again last year at Dragon Con in Atlanta. And that's when we finally made the decision to go ahead and have him, commission him to do a trade cover.
I'm excited to see what comes of that. Because,
yeah, I am too.
I'm a fan of people don't get that. I just don't advocate randomly. I'm a fan of the creators that often come on the shows. I'm happy enough to call Andrea a friend, but I'm a fan of his work. Like there are definitely gears. Like when we're just talking creator to creator, it's one thing. But then I also geek out and try to always get him to kind of trip up and tell me what's happening next, like a fan would. But
we have some exciting stuff coming here. If you don't mind, I'll share a couple pieces of the art to let you get a sense of the art style.
I'd love
this is stuff that you'll see in the Valentine coming. This is the main character for the Valentine, Lexi, the shepherd's daughter. Keep in mind that all the characters in the shepherd story, at least the family itself, was based on my own family. And the reason for that is that the original story was based on a nightmare that I had about them. So that's the connection. That's why. But in a way, it's like my daughter was frozen at that age where I had the nightmare. But this is her encountering, with a little bit of a spoiler here, her big brother. But her brother is now in the afterlife and has taken on this, has this like shape-shifting thing that goes on with him.
I think that's amazing. I love that you circled back. So the story kind of feels like it's moved on for a couple of years, but it hasn't, it turns out. Is that what's going on? Like we're going right back? Like the afterlife maybe feels like it's longer than it really is?
Well, I would say that this story is almost simultaneous. So like, it is more, if you think the Path of Souls, Path of Dogs, that takes place right after the Shepherd Volume 1. This is happening almost like simultaneously.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm pretty excited about this, man. This sounds like good times. And Caliber Comics, any new? I know you're for Caliber and Scout. Is there anything we could do to help them right now, promote them? Because I know Diamond just got pulled from underneath all of us. So
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right there in Fort Myers. Let's start with Scout, which is where Scout is located. Scout is fully operational. You can go on their website. You can order, all their books. They have the warehouse, the shop there in Fort Myers actually has a warehouse in the back. So they've got plenty of stock. They're not short. They're within walking distance of, I think it's a UPS shipping place or FedEx, one of those two. So this is, they're fully functional. And even their printer, Comic Impressions there in Fort Myers, they're fully functional as well. So if you want books from Scout, go get them. And I'll tell you right now, I have 17 books titles that I edit with Scout, and we have some amazing stuff coming out. Amazing titles that are already out, but that are coming out. A couple of the books I'd recommend to people, I had nothing to do with this, so I have no skin in the game. I'm not going to profit from talking these up, but Heavenly Blues is a book that I really like. It's basically like, imagine Ocean's 11 in the afterlife. So you have this heist that is recruited. There's a guy that in the afterlife that wants to steal something from heaven. And so he recruits these thieves from hell with the promise that they can get out if they can pull off this heist. And we'll just leave it there. But it's a great story. I really enjoy it a lot. And like I said, it had nothing to do with it. I would have been proud to have edited it. I did not. Heavenly Blues, great story. Another one that I really like is Smoketown. Smoketown is a real hard-boiled crime, almost like Pulp Fiction-y kind of vibe to it. It's like one of those books where you're not sure there's any heroes in the book. They're all kind of like anti-hero type things, like a little Quentin Tarantino action. Anyway, those are two that spring to mind that I really enjoy a lot, among many. But we also have some very good books coming out, through the stuff that I'm editing right now. Like one that comes to mind is North Bend. And North Bend is kind of a CIA kind of spy political, thriller. Very good book. But yeah, keep an eye on Scout. They've got some good stuff coming. And then I guess to answer the question with Caliber, yeah, Caliber's fully functional as well. You can order books from them online. Of course, digitally, Caliber's on a ton of platforms. And if you're short on cash, which some people are right now, I would recommend Hoopla. I would also recommend Graphite Comics, where you can actually read for free. Hoopla is a library app. You just go to hoopla.com. If you have a library card, you can sign up with just simply a email, and then there's a code on the back of your library card. You can put it in there, and you can check out comics for free, and that's an excellent choice. But yeah, there's lots of options.
Final question, and just for clarity's sakes, Comics Impressions actually in Cape Coral, but it's right near Fort Myers. It's just over a bridge. But if you are looking it up and you see the name Cape Coral next to it, it's the same one. Cape Coral and Fort Myers are basically the same area. It's literally the same, but technically their address is in Cape Coral, but barely at that. Before we move on to, because we have another guest coming on to advocate for something cool, can we ask you how they can personally follow you? So we haven't mentioned that. How can they become a fan of you as a creator and follow what you're doing? And just real quick, Mary had said before she had to leave, she said, my father was a World War II combat vet that didn't address his mental experiences until he was in his 80s and worried about his grandson joining the military. Isn't that a profound statement that someone could suffer for that long, never talk about it, no one knew, but the minute they see their grandson?
I think it's a lot more common than you would imagine. A lot more common. Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about this in private, and I don't mind sharing it. My dad was haunted by the Vietnam War. and he had a lot of whenever he got drunk, he would slip and say some things, and you could tell it haunted him the rest of his life. So that's why I thank you for what you do with this. And where can they follow you? I'm going off.
Well, I'll put my website. It's theshepherdcomic.com. And that's certainly, I mean, you can find me on Instagram, The Shepherd Comic. You know, you can look under The Shepherd at Caliber Comics ENT Entertainment on Facebook. Those are the easiest ways to find me.
The Shepherd Comic is your direct site.
Yes,
right?
The Shepherd Comic. That's why I'm sharing that. That is, you're supporting me directly.
Yeah, always support the creator. Nothing against Caliber or anything like that, but always support the creator directly when you've met them and you know who they are. And then go to Caliber and see what other titles Caliber offers. That's the way to do that.
I think we offer some very good books. I really do. I've been involved directly in editing a lot of them, so I know them quite intimately.
And as Christian winds up coming on, and am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. As he comes on to talk to us about his stuff, I'm going to get the Scout Comics. Do you have to go, Andrea? I know you're busy.
I'll stick around for a while. I'd like to hear what Christian's doing.
All right, awesome. Welcome to the show. Let me take this down. The banner's up. I'm going to get Scout for all you guys and put it in the messenger. But tell us why you're here, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, this is fun. I like meeting new creators and chatting about the industry and art. So thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm here mostly because you were inquiring about Camouflage, which is a comic created by a Canadian writer, and I'm the illustrator on it. So a lot of the topics he might be able to elaborate more on, but I work with him to edit the script as well, and so I could share a lot of things about it. And mostly, it's a very proactive comic about the poaching industries, the various poaching industries that are across the globe, from like elephants to sharks, which is in the latest issue that we're finishing up, and polluting. Industries. There it is. Thanks for bringing it up, because I wasn't sure how to attach images. But the first issue deals with corporations that pollute the forests and the environments, and the main heroes is a Japanese Canadian huntsman who teams up with a First Nations girl who's a conservationist, and together they work for an organization called ECHO, and they travel across the world and fight these evil guys while kind of sparking a little romance.
So how did the story come together? I know you said that you're helping with the story now. Were you on at the very beginning? Like, talk about the journey.
Yes, I've been on from the very beginning. Doug, the writer, Doug Stevenson, we worked on some cartooning projects in the past. So I'm an artist for hire for this project. But he was new to writing comics. So he's written the script, and then I kind of finesse it a little bit wherever I can. But it's his script, and then I was brought on from the very beginning. Yes. That was your question, yeah?
Sorry, can you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you in the last.
Oh, I was asking. So, who else is part of the team?
It's Edgar Arce is the colorist, and that's it. It's just like the three of us. And actually, in the last issue, his daughter Jenny Stevenson, she came on as writer, so she wrote the third issue. She has a literary major, bachelor's. Maybe a master's, I forget, but very talented writer, and she was brought in.
Sorry, Jax needed something. What about the future for the project? That's something we talked about with Andrea about the future. Where do you see this going? Are we going to see spinoffs? Because a lot of times things like this wind up having a weird spinoff. Do we see something like that coming?
You know what? Like, I mean, it's not really, the writing is not up to me. I sometimes try to hint things at Doug and Jenny because it's their baby. So, I mean, I'd like, actually, the last thing I hinted story-wise, whether they take my advice or not, is I thought, because the first 3 issues kind of like travel the world. They're in like Canada, and then the second issue, they go all the way to Africa to combat elephant poachers that you know, steal, cut off tusks and kill elephants. And then they ultimately put a media mogul on trial because his platform helps these traffickers conduct business.
Are you talking about Jimmy Johns? I'm kidding. I kid the Jimmy Johns. I said, are you talking about the Jimmy Johns CEO? And I was like, I kid him. This program is brought to you by Jimmy Johns.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But no, is it personal to you, or was this something that you were made aware of by being part of the project?
You know what? Like, I was made aware of it after, and I do care about it once I know, like once I learn this info. Like for the latest issue, which I'm just finishing inking right now, and the first 5 pages are being colored while I'm inking the rest. So it's like a little mini production here, and we should have it done by the end of May. So sorry, not May, April. So I didn't originally I mean, you know, I'm a simple dude. I just kind of, you know, freelance and I write. I have numerous writing projects like this. It's a living. I wrote this nonfiction that's for freelance artists like myself. And so I don't naturally you know, go picket or anything like that. But it was really educational. Like, for example, with the latest issue, at the back of each issue, there's an information sheet about each cause, which is educational for young adults that are reading it. So in the shark issue recently, there's like an estimated like 1 million sharks that are caught and then killed for their fins exclusively, because apparently, especially in Asia, because that's the biggest market, and apparently they only really want to eat the fin. So they only it's like wasted, and they dump the rest of the dead shark into the ocean, and it just piles up.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's quite disgusting, to be honest, when you think about it.
Because I heard that the other fish won't eat a fish that was killed by something else. Like there's something about if you just put a dead body back in the ocean. So I'd read something about this or seen it on National Geographic. They were saying when you dispose of things, the bacteria will eat it, but other fish won't. Other predator fish, because they don't, like a wolf won't eat anything that it's seen that's been killed in front of it because it's worried it's a trap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wasn't aware of that, but it kind of makes sense. And it's a waste. It's a real waste. Like, I mean, this is human nature. We hunt for sport, but in some cultures, these things like bats obviously are very delicious in some cultures. That's why we're confined currently because of certain people that love to eat bats and like monkey brains and shark fins and things like that. So, you know, it's every person's got a right to butcher animals and torture them and stuff. You know, it's our given right.
I don't know if I'd say it's anyone's given right.
I know I'm being sarcastic.
I know you're being sarcastic, but like I was raised, even though I'm Ukrainian, we used to go to like the Indian festival upstate New York, and I really appreciate the Indian what do we call it now? what is it? Natives? They're not called Indians anymore. They're
Well,
called
yeah, it's
indigenous.
First Nations. Is
The First
probably right.
Nations, yes. And I grew up with listening to them and listening to their lifestyle, and I would love my lifestyle to be a lot. And especially now when we're stuck at home, we're kind of looking at ourselves and realizing how not powerful we are. We're getting eaten up by something we can't even see that's coming for us. So I think this is a learning lesson that humans aren't exactly on the top of the food chain. And maybe we need to treat nature and the world around us with more respect going forward, because we've been put down right now and shown our place.
You're absolutely right, Anderson. Like this, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly what each issue of Camouflage focuses on. And really the mission uses the word respect a lot, respecting nature, respecting where we are in nature, and not really consuming more than we really need, and certainly not endangering other animals or humans, because we endanger ourselves too. So, I'm very sympathetic to those. I don't get preachy about it, but and certainly, like I carry a certain diet. Like I'm mostly pescatarian, but it's not for any political reasons. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you there, but it's unfortunate the way we kind of consume animals and the way we treat our environment. Even now that it's shifted, I mean, it's hard to talk about now about global warming when we're all of a sudden within like a couple of weeks, we're all in survival mode, as individuals. So
But have you
it's
seen
a phenomenon.
Have you seen all the, and Andrea, you'd be interested in this because what we've talked before. Have you guys seen the canals in Italy clear up and now there are dolphins and fish in there, clear water? Have you seen China has no smog above itself and the atmosphere is cleaning up just by having us taken down just a little bit? The world is better off, and we have to, I think, kind of respond to this and go, hey, maybe there are better ways for us to move forward in the future to be more sustainable. Maybe not have China be the industrial complex country it is, and move some of those things out, or learn to tap our emissions, because we're seeing just within weeks these gigantic changes to the ecosystem and how quickly it came back. So everyone who said we can't make a difference was lying. We can make a difference.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, I did see the ozone change. There was a graphic I came across online. It's amazing. I mean, maybe I always believe like things like this manifest naturally. I think there's a reason for everything that's happening in the world, and really the world. This is, I don't want to get like I don't know what this is, but the world is like, it's an organism, So so when it's affected, and then even now that we're so interconnected socially. There's, kind of like a united neurosis that has taken over, and I think that's why we're going through what we're going. But there's a bright spot at the end of it, and I just trust evolution. I just trust naturally, like the way I trust myself to survive anything. Besides like a nuclear downfall or something.
Now, I did want to ask you a question because I'd seen this the other day. You are part of the project It's a Living, right?
Yeah, that's my book. I wrote a nonfiction. It launched in December on Amazon, and it's on Drive-Thru Comics as well.
Did you see my question to you? I'd asked you, do you think that the current situation, will it still work? Are there tips that people could learn right away by getting this? Because I thought it was interesting, because now is a great time for educations. That's why we're doing all the panels we're doing during the week. That's why we're having all these conversations. We want people to be educated about the things that we're a part of. So talk to us a little bit about this book, because I think it might be a good time to pick up a copy.
Oh, thanks. And I definitely would encourage you to, because it is applicable. Luckily, I had like one one beta reader that like felt like a lot of my writing in sections where I spoke about diet, exercise, and regiment. Well, diet and exercise, he disagreed with, and you could see it when you look at him. But like, but the thing is that I talk about different aspects between like to sustain yourself as a modest freelancer, because artists, I mean, you know, it's a gamble. It's like the fine art world. You know, there's always these stories like somebody, you know, encounters this patron that just, you know, makes somebody a millionaire. That's I don't believe in that. I've been doing it like 18 years and I've yet to hit that sort of jackpot. So what I focused on in the last few years of my life is to really streamline what I'm good at and to sustain myself. Because what if, you know, what if I have to do this for the rest of my life? Like, look at like, you know, I mean, a lot of comic book luminaries, they're just plugging along. I mean, even, you know, famously Kirby was drawn till his deathbed, you know? So who knows? I mean, you never know. And in a way, you kind of do have to keep doing your creative endeavors, because that's what's going to motivate you and keep you living this wonderful life. So basically, the book takes you through a process. It helps you become sustainable as a working individual and a contributing factor, a positive contributing factor in your community. So you have to be you know, fit of body and mind. And I write about how to regiment your working schedule day to day. So I actually have like when I wake up, when I go to bed, and what I do in between. And then the biggest section is freelancing online, because that's kind of the 21st century now. So thanks for posting the link, by the way. And that section is a really thorough step-by-step, and I even write what I use as a template on websites like Upwork and freelancer.com and guru.com. And I go step by step why I even say hi instead of hello, and like, and then my first line, which is, I am perfect for your project, because it's my specialty. So I'm always perfect for every project, and I customize everything and I show you how. So I help other freelancers get work, and then I go into kind of more somewhat psychological and like kind of a mental state, like to really figure out why you're an artist, and again, to keep that sustainable. And on top of that, I have lessons in between about like interacting and negotiating with clients. I have contract templates, copyright templates where you give your copyright, and then I encourage you to develop your own IP. So these are like, it's all within the book. And if I may add, I don't know if people will pick up on it, but I composed it in a way that's like somewhat literary, because I studied creative writing. So there is kind of like a thematic arc through it. And the last review that I saw on Amazon said that it has a hero's journey. So, so to some people, I pulled that off.
I appreciate you being on the show today. And of course, you're welcome to hang out with all of us and talk more. But speaking of heroes, we have a hero of sorts in his own way. We have the one, the only Travis Gibb. He's a hero to many creators that he's helped teach, basically. He's a mentor up there. And for me, it's up there. For a lot of you, it's down in Melbourne, Florida. Part of the quarantine, did you get the emergency message today where we're supposed to stay indoors now for the next 2 days?
That's probably you. I did not get that. So
yeah, I've been told I have to shelter in place apparently in my local area. So
well, I've actually felt that, you know, before all this stuff went down. So I'm glad that finally it's official.
Yeah, you have the newborn, so you really have to be.
Yeah, we're staying in. I'm also, you know, I have diabetes. I don't, you know, make a big deal about it because it's very manageable for me. But just to be safe, you know.
So you're on the program today because, and I thought I was going to have to do this by myself, but you actually were able to come on. We're here to talk about the Advocator.
Oh, nice.
Do you want to explain? You do pretty well with explaining what this is and the story behind it. So I'll call it up on the screen and let you have it.
Yeah. What do you got here? Okay. That's a fall edition. So what the Advocator is, one day I talked to her, and sorry if you can hear the baby in the background. I may have to move the baby over here, so I apologize.
We've had again.
What the Advocator is a lot of people are making comics, and they struggle between issue 1, 2, or 2 and 3 of production. Production slows for whatever reason, financial, whatever the cause is. So what we did is we created the Advocator, so you can create small little short stories and share fan bases. So I'm going to bring you over to the baby. So what we do is we create these books, and there's 6 individual stories that tie into an existing property. The reason why we tie into an existing property is one, we want to be able to share a fan base. We want to build someone's fan base up, and we want to build their fan base up. 2 is it helps all of us, learn something new, and helps us sell. It means my Broke Down comic, which is Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies, is now in Chicago with Jamie Premack, who was in one of our books. It's in Alaska because Connor was in one of our books. It's in Texas because Chuck is one of our books. So it allows us to share our fan bases and gain new fan bases all over the world, which is what we're trying to do. And we can do that in 4-page stories. So that's what we do, and that's how we put together. We did 3 issues last year. We're looking to do a trade this year. So yeah, that's what we do.
Now, one of the things that people had asked me was, did I expect it to be able to sell well? And you've been on the road with me. We've been together at a table. I find that people absolutely love the concept. I actually call it the poo-poo platter of indie comics.
Yeah, I think people get confused because they submitted to an anthology and they struggle to sell it. But a lot of anthologies have a lot of people in it, so it ups that price up a lot. And it's not connected to, there's no reason to buy it, right? If you're not into Edgar Allan Poe or whatever the anthology is about, you're not interested. Where the Advocator has a little bit of everything, which is great. It also, for me, to get the complete Broke Down collection, you need to buy the Advocator #1. It's part of the thing if you want to buy all the stuff. So I think that helps production as well. The other thing that it does really, really well is someone who's at a con who doesn't necessarily love comics will pick it up and they'll buy it because you could say, hey, if you get this one book, you can get it signed by all these other creators in the room. And we like to point out who's in the room, who is part of it. So that's also a big part of it.
And when it comes to this year's trade, why is there a switch between last year and this year?
A few different reasons. One, we are all creators. So me, Rob, and Chuck are active creators. Rob, even more so than the rest of us, because not only is he a creator, he's also advocates every day on his platform, as well as goes to tons of cons when there was cons. So it's a big deal to get all that stuff out. So it took a lot of our time to do the individual issues. So it's a lot easier for us to do it all at once. The other thing is it was people who wanted to be part of the book, but we tried to have each issue kind of be on the same level of everybody else. We had a couple of people who were well-known and a couple of people who were lower known. This allows us to put everybody who wants to be in the book, as long as you fit our criteria of approval, to be in the book, which is great. It allows us to have an easier door of entry, which is what it should be. So our goal right now is every 100 pages, we just go to a trade. So the minute we get 100 pages of complete story, that's all approved by us, we'll launch the Kickstarter and go straight trade.
And when do you expect this? I know this whole virus thing is messing everything up, but at best guess right now, when do you expect to maybe be able to get it to Kickstarter and begin that process?
Hopefully in the June, July, we're hoping to bank on people's stuff. A lot of it's on my end. I'm working on another secret anthology that some people are a part of. That's taking a lot of our time because it needs a little bit more time. So that's been distracting for us. But now that Broke Down's done and my other anthology is really kind of on doing its own thing, we can really focus on it. So I can have a better answer, but we're summer. We'll have something launched this summer.
And that sounds amazing. And speaking of amazing, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you do beyond the Advocator. You said about the secret project. I know that's not ready to fully be shown to the world, but we could talk about Broke Down, can't we?
We can, but can we take a break from me for a minute? Because my son has a poopy diaper that I have to clean.
Oh, no, that's priority. That's priority.
I don't want to smell that while I continue to talk to you guys.
That's fine. You do that. We'll meet you out. Go take care.
I'll be right back.
In the break, I do want to touch on Brian K. Morris. We actually haven't been able to mention him. I think he's running behind. He was going to try to be on the show, but he said he might not make it. But I did want to talk about Brian K. Morris and the amazing things that he does at Rising Tide Publications. You can find it on our main website right here by just clicking on that. And he has a show basically every day now. He's trying to keep you entertained as things have begun to go a little, I guess, stale as you're stuck at home. So not only am I, but some other amazing creators are trying to give you as much as we can, including the NSC network. And if you guys can check this out, the NSC Live is giving you guys brand new content every day. They're going to give you live auctions, and they even created a brand new indie alley, which is pretty cool. You can find all that by going to NSC Live. And one other thing that I wanted to mention about advocating today, because all these different things do advocating, is we have something from the R4AU campaign. And now remember, they built a life-size droid and dressed it up as a actual R2-D2 unit with the colors of autism awareness. And they had an update as a recent thing, and I'm going to make this bigger so everyone can read it along with me. I made the wrong screen bigger. And here we go. This is an update. As you know, the CDC now recommends that gatherings of 50 or more people be canceled in the next week. The Autism Society of Alabama has waited as long as possible to make this call. We hope that the outcome would be different, but unfortunately, it's just not right to do. We're going virtual due to the recent news from the CDC surrounding the COVID-19. The Autism Society of Alabama has decided to restructure our Walk for Autism events. Autism does not simply go away when there's pandemics, so we want to assure our families, friends, and supporters that we are still here for you. For the first time ever, please join the Autism Society of Alabama as we bring awareness to you virtually. On April 2nd, World Autism Day, we invite you to go for a walk outside, visit a park, or stay indoors and share a photo of you and your crew on social media supporting autism awareness. ASA, Autism Awareness Acceptance, has never been stronger or more focused on our mission. We need supporters like you. Registration for the 2020 Autism Walk is here. Join us for the Autism Society of Alabama as we bring awareness to the community. The annual walk is the single most powerful fundraising event and is now being done online. So you guys continue to support this. I'm going to put it in our room. We're going to wait for Travis to get back. But in the meantime, we're going to bring Travis. Okay, Travis is back. We're going to be talking to He's feeding Remy. We're going to drop some links and talk to us about what you create on your own. You touched on it, and let's get it in there.
Yeah, Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies. It's a gun-toting crime action. Lots of guns, lots of violence, lots of swearing. Quentin Tarantino-esque book. We just funded issue 3 that goes to the printer. So I'm going to be driving up to Fort Myers next week or the week after to go pick up, and we're going to get that out. In fact, we've one of the greatest things about this little coronavirus is a lot of stores have reached out to pick up my book. So I've got to do a mail call on Monday morning to ship out a whole bunch more books of people. So it's been really good, and Remy likes it.
And here we go. This is your website.
Yeah, pull up the site. Yeah, it's a cool little book. It's part of a big, larger universe, where this is the first arc, which is the first 4, and then we're going into Act 2, which is, called Broke Down and Tapped Out, which is a wrestling story, all tied in with the title Broke Down. We got cool stuff coming out, so I'm excited about it. I'm really happy. I'm really happy with this issue. Got a little bit delayed because of Corona, like our colorists got stuck and got pulled, so it's been crazy, but it's been good.
Now, what else are you working on that you could talk about right now? 'Cause I know there's some other projects. You just were part of the Cthulhu thing, right?
Yeah. We just funded Cthulhu's Hard to Spell #2. We raised $32,000. I've got a 4-page in that, so I'm super excited about getting that out to people, which is great. What else did we fund? What else was that part of? Why Faith? I just got accepted to the next Why Faith, which is so me and Martha are working on a story for that. I've got a couple more books coming out later this year that I'm not ready to announce, but yeah, we're always working on something. Here,
Jack,
I can share. What's up?
Jack was on the show earlier.
Jack?
Yeah,
Oh,
Jack.
Yeah, here's issue 1 and 2, just if you guys want to see him. Nope, my son's jumping around. Yeah, issue 1 and 2, they're both oversized too. You know, the first issue is close to 30 pages, the second one's 24, and the third one is 24. So they're big, and then the last one's going to be 30 again. We just finished it. But yeah, things are crazy. But that's what we're working on. We do have, we have talked about the anthology a little bit, so I can share what it is. It's called the Secret Anthology, but it's Cthulhu Invade Dogs. I'm not going to tell you who's in it, but some of the best-known creators, Rob knows the list, in indie comics, from Scout to SourcePoint to Mad Cave to Image, are all in this book. Marvel, DC creators. So there's some cool people all in this anthology. And it's different from any other anthology because all the stories are connected. They're all show what happens when Cthulhu invades Oz. So that's really cool.
I'm definitely excited to see more and hear more about that in the coming weeks. Let me ask, you're a comic book fan. You just lost Diamond. You're not going to be able to get any of your books now. As a fan, how are you responding? Are you trying to get them digitally? Like, what's the plan as a fan?
Well, I mean, me personally, the comics were going to be tough to produce anyways, just because I work in web design. Though I'm very busy right now, I'm going to be not busy soon. Yeah, see? The baby agrees. So what I need to do, so I'm okay with the stoppage. What I'm more concerned about is what's going to happen after. In most stores have gone to curbside, so there's some trades that I wanted to pick up. So I'm going to probably pick up some of these trades that I've been locking. I've never read Lock and Key. I know it's brilliant. I just haven't read it, so I'm going to pick up that. I did pick up comics this week, and I've got a little bit more to pick up because it was a big week. Because they kind of overshipped basically some of April's and some of the end of March's this last week. So we'll see what's going on. I'm a little worried about it. My biggest concern for Diamond, though, is not all the countries going to come back up online at the same time. Yeah. What are we going to do then? What are we going to do, Remy? Yeah. He doesn't know.
Hi, Remy. All right, guys. So we're going to pretty much end the show right now because we've gotten to advocate for some great things. We've talked about the importance of indie advocates. We talked about sharks. We talked about PTSD. We talked about Nevermind the Furthermore. I think we've done a great job at bringing a online entertainment to people. Can you guys just talk about on our way out the importance of advocating for people that aren't yourself? Because each one of us, I write a book about fetish. I didn't want to bring it on this program because people have a tendency to talk about it. It's a little more adult. But a lot of my books, including Cat Dad and Supermom, they advocate for different things, from bullying to accepting people. Can you talk about why you think it's important, especially moving forward for humans, to advocate and to support each other? And we'll start with Christian.
Sure, yeah. Thanks again for having me. I had a really fun time and to learn about these creators as well. And you asked some great questions also. Yeah, like I think advocating for any cause, I mean, sometimes we think that, oh, it's only if you're in a position like you're some celebrity or something or really rich that you can then only give back. But I don't think that's true. I think like whatever place you are in your life, I think you should start thinking about reaching beyond yourself and seeing how you can influence things in a positive way and other people. Like with an open mind too. So everything that I think one believes in, I think you should also self-question. That's the way I am. I think like you're not really an intelligent individual if you don't have some doubt about or are open to questions. So whether it's like statistics or something, but yeah, generally I just think that whether it's poachers, whether it's climate change, whether it's like living conditions for First Nations or better subsidies to underprivileged minorities and so forth, gender issues, anything that you're passionate about, that you could that you care about, that whether it affects you or not, if you feel like you care about it, just like show up and join a community and see what you can do. Be open to it.
Very well said. And Travis, what do you think? Why is it important to advocate beyond ourselves?
I don't believe in it. So, no, advocating for yourself beyond yourself is super important. I mean, I spent most of the day talking to a fellow creator about their Kickstarter because they're struggling and they're debating whether or not they should take it down or they want to make more. People who advocate for you are going to help you get to that next level. And people who are supporting you and want to support the community that you're in are the ones who make the difference. They're the ones who care. They're the ones who are trying to get you to where you need to go. And they're not gonna BS you, and they're gonna help you get to where you need to go and take that initiative yourself. Because a lot of people have different skills, and everyone should use their skills to get forward. One of the greatest things about advocating, think about comic stores are advocates for Marvel and DC. The reason why Marvel and DC sell more at stores is because that's what's pushed. Yes, they have a fan base and they've been building stuff for years. But you know what? When Saga and Walking Dead came around, nobody had an idea that they existed until comic stores said they were in. And Walking Dead was the highest selling comic for several years, making 400,000 copies versus everyone else making 100,000 copies. It was a big deal, and it's still a big deal. So advocating for each other really helps. Another example is Comics Elite. Comics Elite bought my books at SuperCon last year. They took my books that I sell at $5 a piece, sold them for a premium because my signature is on it, because they advocated for me and advocated for indie comics. And they said, this book is good. All it takes is one person sharing your stuff that can make such a big difference. That's not you, right? He agrees.
Yep.
But yeah, that's why I do it, and that's why I think it's important.
And of course, not just me, but Travis was part of making up Advocate Comics, and he's always helped me along the way with the Advocator. Of course, he's a partner in that with us and Chuck, and it's all about making sure that there is an industry, because we're all part of an industry, and it's keeping the wheels going and keeping the bus moving forward together. Thank you all for actually showing up and watching this and sharing it and making comments today. I want to thank everyone who showed up on the show. Travis, Christian, sorry. Tripping on my own words now. I've been on air way too much lately. We had Andrea, we had Mary, we had Jack Holder, wife Faith, and we had Coughing Comics. All here today, making this a great show. And Remy, of course, how could we forget Remy? Remy's been on the program. This is now one of the best programs I've produced. Showed up, and I appreciate you all. And thank you for supporting each other. Be kind to each other. Be awesome to each other, and support each other. These are our hard times. That's right, Remy. These are hard times that we're all going to get through, and we're going to get through it together. So advocate for yourself. Also advocate for your neighbors. And advocate for what you love. Remy, last words?
You gotta say anything?
No, nothing, Remy. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you at the next show tomorrow when we have panel con, where we see all the panels we've recorded for the last 2 weeks, and at the end of it, we'll talk about the important panels. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
And off Facebook.